I wasn't sure if I was going to create this video. I came into my study one evening after Hunter had gone to sleep. I'd made myself a cuppa and I sat down and just pored over my journal and put my heart on my sleeve, I guess, writing down a script for this video voiceover. And I sat on it for a while, unsure if I wanted to do anything about it because to me it just seemed a little bit too vulnerable on a number of different topics, to be honest. And maybe I didn't want to be putting all that emotion out there on the internet. But as time grew on, I realized a couple of things. Number one, this is a channel rooted in honesty. And number two, I have found a great deal of friendship, camaraderie, and relatedness when I do talk about things that I'm going through, thinking and experiencing. It makes us feel like we are less alone and that there are other people out there who think, feel, and experience some of the same things that we do. So in turn, here is a video on money and happiness. If you're new here, hello, my name is Carly. I am a wife, a mother, and high school English teacher, and I create weekly videos on all things cozy and intentional living, homemaking, minimalism, frugal living, cozy hobbies, and book recommendations. So if those things are up your alley, I would love to have you subscribe and join our lovely corner of the internet. This year I saw the film The Materialist at the cinema. I liked it as a movie, and while predictable, it did present a sad, if not accurate, representation on many modern dating scenarios. One of the things I didn't like about it, however, was the way that it seemed to romanticize being poor or struggling financially. The main character, played by Dakota Johnson, was portrayed as a selfish and unfeeling woman because she wanted to marry someone financially well off. Having grown up poor and been in relationships where money was a topic of contention, she no longer wanted to be in romantic relationships where money was a concern, and working hard to secure her own financial freedom, security was now a major value in her life. Sorry to spoil the ending for you, but ultimately she ends up getting back together with her financially unstable ex-boyfriend. Because money can't buy you happiness, and according to Hollywood, there is something romantic about being poor and in love. Considering that finances is one of the top things most couples argue about, I felt that this cinematic happy ending was a far cry from reality. Thinking about this took me back to a memory from a couple of years ago. It was my first time trying a low buy, and I was excited about this challenge. I posted on my Facebook that I wouldn't be buying any non-essentials for the next month. I had an acquaintance comment on the post saying some variation of, "She doesn't need to do a low buy because some people don't have the luxury to buy things anyway." The girl deleted the comment, but I felt like I was being judged, like I was out of touch and being called out for having money to buy things. Only now waking up to the idea that perhaps shopping so much isn't a good idea. I'm so glad that each year I grow up and change more because it allows me the clarity to reflect on past versions of myself and my own ignorance. While I still don't think there was any problem with me wanting to do a low buy month or even advertising to my friends and family, I now also think that comment was entirely accurate and valid. Since undertaking a low buy year in 2025, I've realized that there is a world of difference between saving money and cutting back unnecessary purchases, because you want to, and doing so because you have to. As a woman of faith, I frequently pray about our financial situation, but there have certainly been many times this year where living on a single income with a baby, dog, mortgage, and in a cost of living crisis has been incredibly challenging and stressful. When I went on maternity leave, I had this dream that instead of returning to teaching, I would be able to pursue my passion of making YouTube videos and be able to work for myself, express myself creatively, and provide a small income for our family through this avenue. Sadly, this has not been the case. While I do earn a very small amount from YouTube each month, whether it's the algorithm or the quality and content of my videos, growth has been slow. Sometimes I feel embarrassed to tell people that I've been doing this for 7 years and yet have such a small audience. And yet I see the same names in the comment section week after week and am so thankful for the sweet people who support the time and effort it takes to weave together vulnerable stories about my life, to give up their time to contribute something beautiful to the internet. So if that is you, I appreciate you more than you know. The thought that I should maybe give up on this dream has struck me a time or two. I get especially sad to think that many family and friends aren't even subscribed to my channel. Despite doing this for so long, it's still seen as a little hobby that's not going to get me anywhere because it's too hard to blow up online these days. And while I'm not giving up on my dream, I have succumbed to the notion that I will need to return to teaching in some capacity next year. To most people, this wouldn't seem like a big deal, but for me, returning to a job that caused immense physical and emotional stress is no easy decision. Sometimes we go without. Sometimes we work jobs we hate. Sometimes we put off taking the next step in life. Sometimes we DIY because it's easier to do these things than to not know if your internet bill is going to bounce or get to the end of a pay week with $5 in your account. No, money doesn't buy you happiness. But what I've realized this year is it sure doesn't hurt. So let's just unpack a few things and I'll give you guys some context. If you didn't know already, I am a high school English teacher and I had been teaching for 10 years prior to going on maternity leave. I ended up having Hunter in December and I took that whole term 4 off, and then I had all of this year and then all of last year. Last year, I was able to get maternity leave half pay from the school for a number of weeks throughout the year, and then the remainder of the year I went on the paid parental leave from the government. So last year we did have some income coming in from me in addition to Dave's just general salary, and that helped out so much. But then when this year started, there was no income coming in from me at all. Other than what I was bringing in from YouTube. And when I say that I get paid a little bit from YouTube, the way YouTube works is we don't get monetized until you have over 1,000 subscribers, number one, and 4,000 public watch hours, and then you can be monetized. And how much you earn goes off a number of things. It does go off like how many subscribers you have and how like long people watch your videos and engagement and things like that. But the main thing is how many views you get on a video and how long they view for, so how many ads they end up watching, or you guys end up watching. So if I'm lucky, I might get paid $100 a month from YouTube. So you get paid once a month, and you only will get paid once you've crossed $100 threshold. So if you earn like $90 for that month, you won't get paid. It'll just accrue into the next month. And there has been, I think, a month this year where I didn't get paid. It just sort of accrued into the next month. You also do pay US taxes on that. And then obviously I need to pay Aussie taxes on it as well, or like claim it as a business. So that's sort of the financial contribution I'm making this year, which is not a lot. And obviously, considering that I've spent 10 years like being an income earner, I do feel somewhat guilty for not, like, I know in my mind I'm contributing a lot to the family just by raising our son, doing all of the house things, etc. But I don't know if you guys can resonate with this idea, like if you have been, you know, a breadwinner or the income bringer of the family, and then all of a sudden you're not, you feel like, oh, what am I bringing to the table here? And it's not a rational thought, but it's just one that you have nevertheless. And even though through, you know, doing my budgeting, my meal planning and prepping and my low buy and all of the things that you've seen on this channel throughout this year that I've been doing to reduce our overall expenses and increase savings and plan out and things like that, it has been helpful, but it's also been at times challenging. And so I did not want to go back to work. When I finished up at my job to go on maternity leave, in my mind, I was not going back. And it wasn't necessarily that I had this idea that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mum. It was just that things were so hard for me there. I was practically traumatized and did not want to put myself back in that situation. And without going into like too much detail, because there's like a big picture of things that maybe one day I'll talk about, 2 reasons why things were particularly stressful for me at the time. Number one, I was being, what the word that I'm going to use is, bullied by a male staff member. And then the second reason is that the student culture had gotten so degraded that to go on playground duty induced anxiety of like not knowing what sort of situations that you were going to be faced with. And I often felt unsafe going on playground duty, knowing that I would probably be met with students who might be doing a range of activities that they shouldn't be doing, and that if I were to confront them about this, that it could be met with like hostile behavior. And, you know, being a female, being pregnant, being small, I don't know if you can, probably can't tell from the videos, but I'm only 5 foot, so virtually all of the students in the school, including year 7 kids, are taller than me, and they will use their height factor as an intimidation tactic. They have plenty of times, particularly the male students. It became quite scary, to be honest. So for me to put myself back into a situation where like those things were happening when I left, it's just really anxiety inducing. And I feel like I'm building up an idea in my head of how bad it could be, and that could totally not be the case, fully. I could fully be just catastrophizing the situation here, because, you know, sometimes this is what we do when we either enter into a foreign situation or when we enter into a situation where we have had a bad experience. We think that it's going to continue in the same way that it had before. And I'm really hoping that that is not going to be the case. But obviously I feel like we've been put in a position where this is what I kind of need to do. And I think everyone's just out there trying to do what is best for their family. And whether you're a stay-at-home mum or a working mum or a bit of both, it's hard anyway. Anyway, it's just going to be hard. And you just do whatever you need to do at that time that is going to be the best decision for your family. And for me, I feel very conflicted because I've had such a wonderful time with Hunter, and we have routines, and I feel like I'm helping to build up a great attachment style within him, and you know, build up his love of learning and curiosity and exploring. And it's just so wonderful to have this time. This time is such a blessing that not a lot of people get, and particularly if you're in a country where you don't get access to the type of maternity leave that we get in Australia or in the job that I have been in. You might not have been able to experience this and have this time with your kid, and that's just been so precious to me. So for me to give that up has been hard. And then I guess, other than the circumstances I'm going back into, the fact that I'm giving up time with my son, the third thing that's making this decision hard for me is the fact that when I did decide, you know, I don't want to go back, it was, I'm gonna go all in on YouTube and I'm gonna make YouTube a thing. Like, I've got a passion for this, and I feel like I've got, you know, stories to tell and like things like that. And I have actually been so proud of the content that I've been creating, particularly this year. I feel like I've shared some beautiful moments and beautiful places with you guys, and that's made me just really proud of myself. And seeing so many of the same names over and over again, like Linda and Libby and Barbara and Natalie, and, you know, all of these different people that I see you guys in the comments, and I get to hear where you're from and what's going on in your lives, and it just makes me so happy to feel like I've got online friends and we're just going on this journey of life together, and that's so beautiful. So it kind of does, in a sense, feel like I'm giving in a little bit by going back to work, by saying I don't believe in myself enough. I don't trust that this is going to work out and that I can go all in with this. So I'm just going to have a safety net there, because I don't 100% believe in myself or believe in maybe the opportunities that God's creating for me, or the plan and the purpose that He has for me in this community, I guess. So it feels like I'm not really stepping out in faith by succumbing and going back to work. So there's like a myriad of things, and sorry that we're like having deep life chats and like random chats here. I hope it's okay. Grab yourself a cuppa if you haven't already. It's also brought up for me this idea of mum guilt, and when I first heard about mum guilt prior to becoming a parent, I thought that it just meant, oh, when you're away from your child, when you're having to go back to work, or when you're leaving your child to go out for the night, like when you're away from your child, that's when mum guilt is induced. But truly, I've discovered mum guilt comes in every facet. When you have to do chores around the house instead of playing with your kid, when you don't have the money to buy them a book that you think would be fantastic for them, when, you know, like any circumstance where you feel like you can't be the super mum, is just like induces this mum guilt. And it's like, wow, like I am doing, and you are doing the best that you can And where does this idea of mum guilt come from? Who exactly is placing this feeling and this notion and this unrealistic idea and standard and expectation upon us? I don't know, but I definitely feel like, you know, this idea of, oh, I'm giving up a day with Hunter to go to work to earn money to provide for our family, is definitely one thing that's inducing mum guilt. And it's like, he's going to be with his grandparents, who he's probably going to have a lot more fun with them than he would be having another day with mum. I know that it's fine, I know, but still it just thinks, oh, I'm putting my time into other people's kids instead of into my own. I'm putting time into working for someone else instead of into working my own business. Suffice it to say, there's just no right way to go about these things. There's no right way to be a mum. There's no right way to navigate the cost of living and just finances and work and just life. Basically, you've just got to wing it and see what happens sometimes. I do want to find a way to manage my time next year between, you know, my 1 day a week back at work and my quality time with Hunter and crafting and creating these videos for you guys. And I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose any of those things and any of these beautiful habits and routines and this things that we've created for ourselves this year. I want to make sure that those romanticized aspects of my life can just continue, and that I can find a way to go back into a space that is inducing me a lot of distress and make the absolute best of it, and to come out the end of next year even better off as a person, mother, and contributor to our family. I'm sure many of you guys have probably gone through similar experiences in life, so I'd love to hear your story and the things that you've learned and discovered about yourself in the process, and things that really helped you navigate, you know, going into a new job, going back to work after maternity leave, and just making all of these big life decisions, because I feel like it makes us feel like we're in it all together. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and just hearing this long-winded yap. If you liked this video and it gave you those calming and positive vibes, which I'm hoping that it did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I upload new videos every single week. With that being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys.